Now, a lot of times when we talk about narcissistic abuse and being stuck in narcissistic abuse, a big piece of that is through what we call a trauma bond. And the trauma bond is built over a period of time, and it makes you feel absolutely crazy. It makes you feel like, I know I don't want this person. I know this person is bad for me. I know this person like isn't the right person for me in my life, but I still want to interact with this person. I still want to reach out to this person. I still want to love this person. I still want to be with this person. All these different things like end up like hitting your mind. But you're like, I know I don't want this person. Like, what's actually going on? A lot of times, what you're dealing with is this aspect of a trauma bond. Is the piece that makes you feel oftentimes crazy. That makes you feel like it's your fault. It makes you feel like all of these different pieces here have to come together for me to ever be with this person, but they never do. So when we're talking about narcissistic abuse, what is like one of the things that like pops up in your mind being like, hey, this is something that I'm dealing with that's narcissistic that I'm struggling to figure out, that I still feel stuck or I still feel trapped? Like, what is that like one piece that you're like, I know I don't want this person. I know I don't like this person. I know I'm repulsed by this person, but you still want to interact with them. You still want to go back. Okay. This a lot of times is dealing with the trauma bond. Trauma bond for me, how I normally define it and how I normally break it down. Okay. Here you go. And trauma bond, when it comes down to it, is this idea of being locked into hope and potential, cognitive dissonance, and intermittent reinforcement. Okay. Yep. See a couple other people saying cognitive dissonance. Okay. Cognitive dissonance is this concept of holding two opposing thoughts at the same time. Now, when we normally think of cognitive dissonance, you're going to experience it on a day to day basis, but it's normally smaller. It's normally something that's not that huge. You might go to the grocery store and you'll be like, do I get this option or do I get this option? Do I get this or do I get this? Like, that is like a piece of like, okay, maybe this is going to happen. Okay. But when you're with a toxic person, this is something that is happening 24/7 nonstop. Like, you are stuck in the mindset and it makes you inactive. It makes you immobilized. So you don't actually do anything. So you don't actually move. So you don't actually work on yourself getting better because they've told you this is what you're stuck with. And he says, I'm stuck in my own head. It's not fun. That's how I feel right now. Yeah. It feels like crazy making. Like, it feels like you can't get out. The cognitive dissonance, 100%. The cognitive dissonance is one of the biggest pieces that keeps people stuck on a day-to-day basis. Okay. When we talk about this cognitive dissonance, okay, you're normally stuck in the middle of like two opposing thoughts. So kind of picture it here of like, hey, I've got two thought bubbles above my head. Okay. One of them is, do I believe his words or do I believe his actions? Like, which do I actually believe? Which one actually makes the most sense? Because the majority of time, you'll look at a narcissist's actions, you'll be like, wait a second, that doesn't look very loving. That doesn't look very kind or caring. But they'll tell you, I love you. I care about you. And the narcissist will try to get you to believe a facade, believe a different version of reality that's going to tell you one thing, but then demonstrate the other. How many of you had the narcissist in your life say one thing, but their actions were completely different? Like, completely different. Like, I would tell this to my wife. I would say, hey, I love you. But in my version, love was like, hey, I came home. Not, oh, but I was faithful, because I wasn't. I was cheating. Like, there wasn't this piece of actually backing up what I was actually thinking through, like backing up what I was saying. I was saying I love you, but my actions weren't demonstrating that. Okay. Still holding on to hope and saying they'll come through on promises. Yeah. The thing you have to understand is, like, what are they demonstrating? Are they actually showing that they're actually following through? If they're not, then you're holding onto a pipe dream. Always that way, all the time. Also in the middle of divorce with another narcissist, desperate to divorce, won't sign papers. Yeah. A lot of times they will do that of being like, oh, I want this, but they don't actually. But they do. It's all this back and forth, the mind games that are going back and forth to confuse you. Do you know when the narcissist is never coming back? They can come back at any time. They come back at any time. The biggest thing is for you to be able to work on your growth and to limit their access to you. Because a lot of times we talk about this cognitive dissonance piece. Okay. How many of you here feel like you're struggling with cognitive dissonance? Okay. Like the two opposing thoughts. Believe the words or do I believe his actions? Do I believe this or do I believe that? Or you might be stuck in the middle and you're like, wait a second, what decision do I make? I either make this decision here and I get raged at, or I make this decision here and I get the silent treatment. Which one do I want today? And like you're given like this awful decision of like, I can't decide which way I want to go. The cognitive dissonance will leave you locked in a toxic relationship. Narcissist, not narcissist, whoever. Cognitive dissonance will keep you immobilized and you will not move at all because you will be so stuck with trying to figure out which way to go that you don't go anywhere, that you don't make any decision. We talk about this a lot inside of our Thriver community of helping people understand that sometimes you just need to go. You just need to make a move. You need to make a move to yourself. You need to make a move in your growth. You need to make progression because if you don't actually take that step, you won't know the direction you're supposed to go. Too many times we sit back and we're like, there's all these choices. I don't know which one to choose. And as a result, you don't choose anything. A lot of times failing to make a decision is just failing in general because you haven't actually moved forward at all. So you're still looking at it with the same exact facts, with the same exact thought process, and nothing's actually changed. Cognitive dissonance is this big piece that gets people stuck for a long period of time. Okay. Now that I'm educated on NPD, I see right through my NPD spouse and I'm beyond his gaslighting now, getting educated on NPD folks, and then they can't hurt you anymore. I wish it was only that, but that is a big piece of it. Getting educated is huge in that, but a lot of times just the education doesn't actually break the trauma bond, doesn't actually get people free from the cognitive dissonance because they're still believing a story. They're still believing a lie in the moment. Okay? Like you have to be able to break it down and deal with the facts of the situation. The facts are the only thing that's going to set you free from the toxicity. So many times people want to focus on what they say, what they do, all these things. When it comes down to it, what is demonstrated on a day-to-day basis? What do you see? The person says, oh, I love you, but then he's still sexting other women. He says, oh, I care about you, but he's still cheating. And he's not spending time with the kids. Like all these things. When you get to this place of you're seeing like, hey, this is not being demonstrated, those are the facts of the situation. The problem is with the cognitive dissonance, you'll get to the place that you will tell yourself a different story, a different version than reality. And this is what we break people free on a daily basis. We're running one of our challenges, the Clarity Challenge. You can access it at claritychallenge.net. What it actually does is it walks you through step by step how to break the trauma bond. Because if you don't focus, yes, that's right, focus on their actions. If you don't focus on like what they're doing, like the words, you're like, hey, I'm not going to focus on their words anymore, but I'm going to focus on what they're doing. You have to focus on the actions. We have to be able to change the mindset that you're actually believing the lies that they're putting on you. Versus that, and stop thinking about what you want them to be. A lot of times we'll call this positive projection. You are positively projecting a different reality on this person than what you actually want to see. What you don't want to see is that this person is an awful husband. This person is an awful father. That this person is awful because they are abusing you mentally, emotionally, even physically. But instead of dealing with the truth of the situation, you're like, it's not that bad. He actually cares about us because he comes home every once in a while. Like, this is the piece that people need to understand. You need to wake up with this. Like, unless you actually see honesty, vulnerability, and consistent change, there is no hope of actually moving forward. None. Like, it's not going to happen no matter what. Website is claritychallenge.net. Okay? claritychallenge.net. That is a challenge that has helped a lot of people get free and move forward in their healing. Okay, I'm going to read through some of the comments that I have here up on the screen. I'm in a long distance relationship with someone who I think may be a covert narcissist. Is it possible for them to not get angry when you bring up their lying, but instead promise that they will change? He hasn't showed a hint of anger to me. Yeah, I would say that's really easy because you're long distance. Like there's nothing actually to hold them accountable like in the moment. So yeah, a lot of times it's going to happen. What do you do if you can't get a financial settlement? As they will drag it through the courts till there is no money left. Depending on where you are, different states, different countries, different court systems, you can actually get it where they can even freeze the assets until there's, I don't know the actual like lingo because I don't live in that world, but until there actually is something there. Or you can get it if he's not signing. Sometimes they can push it through. Okay.